it occurs to me it's been a while since I've had anything to say on this program, or in print for that matter, about Uber and the whole so-called sharing technology. So let me bring you up to date on what's going on with Uber as I see it, and where we ought to be going with that as a society, and with the so-called, they're now calling it the gig economy, which I think is, I don't like that name, and I think it's partially because I used to be a musician and a gig was a good thing. But for whatever reason, I prefer, it's certainly not the sharing economy. We've talked about that. I prefer the piecework economy. But anyway, whatever you call it, I'll start with a personal note. A friend of mine who is 92 years old, everybody was telling him he ought to get on Uber because that would be a good way for him to get around. He still has a driver's license. So he was telling me the other night that he got on the Uber website and tried to fill out all the paperwork to become an Uber customer. He said he thought it was taking him an extraordinarily long time to do it. It seemed awfully complicated, but he hung with it. He, even when they told him to, took a close-up picture of his driver's license and filled in all his personal information, including age, I guess, and he sent it to Uber and got an email back a little while later. Congratulations, you are now an Uber driver. So since then, he tells me he keeps getting emails from Uber that say, and messages from Uber that say, we're waiting for you to become one of our drivers. Where are you? We're ready for you to start making your income opportunities. My point, you might want to think about that. Now, I do admit I use Uber myself sometimes. I use a cab when I can, but you might want to think about that. You don't really know. Uber is like a box of chocolates. You don't really know what you're getting. So there is that piece of it. Now, my friend, as it turns out, is not completely an outlier. 92 years old is quite old, I would say, to be a commercial driver. He would agree. But there was a story in the New York Times recently with the headline, "Older Drivers Hit the Road for Uber and Lyft." It turns out, in fact, that these gig economy car companies are actively pursuing older drivers. They cite one woman who is 73 years old. She has a silver Mazda SUV. She lives in Minneapolis, and she thinks it's an adventure to go out and driving and meeting people on Uber. Now, the growing number, the New York Times says, of older Americans augmenting their retirement income by driving for Uber. Some drivers say, this is the Times, it is a great chance to be independent and earn extra cash. Others, including some drivers, say it is an exploitation of older people who work as independent contractors without any benefits because their age means they have a harder time finding full-time employment. Many retirees drive part-time, 20, 30 hours a week. Others may drive full-time, which in many cases takes them out of the fully retired category. I would say all of it takes them out of the fully retired category. As you might imagine, I have some thoughts about this. Thought number one, isn't it a nicely synced up and well-orchestrated system for the oligarchical class in this country when A, we have a retirement system based on Social Security that pays one of the lowest public pensions of any developed nation on earth, and two, the corporate guaranteed benefit pension system, which used to provide many working Americans with some measure of security in their retirement life, has been dismantled in order to maximize profits for corporations with no policy intervention to prevent that from taking place. And then three, having thereby put so many older people in this country at enormous financial risk in their old age. Great. Now, since they desperately need the money, we can put them to use as Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, and perhaps in the future performing some other menial tasks for the well-to-do and prosperous among us. People, What kind of system are we living under where we think this is okay? First of all, at any age, if you're working full time for somebody, you deserve worker protections. At any age, you deserve to be paying into a retirement system so that when it is time for you to retire, you do not have to wonder every morning as you pull your car out of the driveway who you're going to be driving and what you're going to be getting for it. This is a return to the bad old days when there were no labor protections in this country, and we should be doing something about it.